Welcome to another episode here on Your Digital Makeover. My name is Jerry Colbert, and in today's episode, we're going to be going over the Rodecaster Duo, my initial thoughts. And it's all coming up next. So in today's episode, I do want to kind of go over my initial thoughts on the Rodecaster Duo. So if you watch my other episode, I had just gotten my Rodecaster Duo, and I did a little unboxing and everything. But I thought I would do a quick little, I guess you could say, just initial thoughts on the Rodecaster Duo, and just kind of let you all know some of the little issues that I had while setting it up. Now, I'm not sure if anybody else has had these issues, but when I was setting it up, going through the whole setup process, I went through the setup process utilizing the Rodecaster itself. Now, there's a Rodecaster Central that Rode has a software that you can do on the actual computer to set up the Rodecaster, or you can just set it up through the setup menu on the Rodecaster. Well, I decided that I was going to just, utilize the Rodecaster and try to set that up. Well, I go through the setup process, right? And it's pretty straightforward, just asking a bunch of questions. And the first thing it asks, first thing it does is, try to detect whether or not there's a firmware update needed. Well, it says there's no firmware update needed at all, period. Nope. So it goes through the rest of the setup process, and I get done with it and everything, right? And it's all done. Went through the setup process without any problem, just answered questions. Some questions I was unsure of, but I had to look it up on the YouTube and everything to try to figure it out. But for the most part, it was pretty self-explanatory. Until, ta-da, I downloaded the Rodecaster Central software. And when I did that, I started that software up, because I wanted to see what that was all about. And it said that I needed a firmware update. But hold on a second. The device said I didn't need an update. But apparently I did need an update, according to the software. So I went ahead and, hit the update. And it was supposed to send it to my Rodecaster, and sure enough, you saw it go to the screen on the Rodecaster. And in the screen here, it showed that the firmware update was being installed, and so did it on the computer screen. And then it just kept going, and you saw the little progress bar on the computer screen going, and finally it got to these wavy little lines. And next thing you know, it says, sorry, couldn't install the update. But the Rodecaster itself was actually showing on the display that the firmware was still being installed, and do not shut off your Rodecaster during this install. But the software online, or at least on the desktop, was saying, no, couldn't install it. So you want to retry again? So I hit retry, and it does nothing. It just kind of goes through the whole little status bar again, and what does it do? It says, sorry, can't install the update, while the Rodecaster is still showing that it's still trying to install the update from the previous try. So I go, while it's still doing its thing, Rodecaster's doing its thing, I go online and look it up, and I found out on, I think, Reddit or something like that this was an issue with the Rodecaster Pro 2, I believe. It was an issue, and somebody had brought that up. And I guess Rode had I guess responded to the guy's question about it. And they said, well, the best thing to do is just to turn it off and turn it back on, even though it says on there not to do so. But, the Rode official said, yeah, you can go ahead and just shut it off and turn it back on, and it should be fine. Well, that's what they did. They shut it off and turned it back on. But it wasn't fine. Well, it was fine. It's not like the firmware update caused an issue. It just restarted back up, and it still needed the firmware update. So the guy said he went ahead and did it again. and it didn't work. The firmware update did not go through, and it was doing the same thing. So another user suggested, maybe you should, try to just install it utilizing and plugging an Ethernet cord into the back of the Rodecaster Duo, right? Because maybe there's an issue with the Wi-Fi. Or maybe there's an issue with the computer, the software sending that signal through to the actual Rodecaster Duo. So the person did that and just plugged Ethernet in, and sure enough, it worked. Another user tried to actually just use just the Rodecaster software like I was trying to do to install it, but it didn't work either. So I said, well, why don't I just try that? So I plugged my Ethernet cord into the back of the Rodecaster because it was previously on Wi-Fi. And I plugged it into the back of the Rodecaster, and then I tried the software first to update it, but it still didn't work. It still just gave me the same error that I couldn't install the firmware update. So what did I do then? Well, after I restarted the Rodecaster, I went ahead and did not use the software, the Rodecaster Central software. I just used the actual setup, or the actual, I guess, the setup section inside of here to install the firmware update, utilizing the Ethernet plugged into the back of the Rodecaster. And then it installed. So I think there's an issue with the Rodecaster installing firmware updates utilizing Wi-Fi. It won't do it because I tried it with Wi-Fi first, and then I tried it with the Rodecaster Central. And so I think that the firmware update cannot be installed with Wi-Fi utilizing Rodecaster Duo itself set up, nor can the Rodecaster Central install the update via USB-C into the Rodecaster. I don't think either one of those options are viable. The only way it's going to install the actual update, the firmware update, is if you utilize the Ethernet port into the Rodecaster and use the Rodecaster itself to set it up. That's the only way. Because I tried multiple different ways and there was no way of doing it. So I just wanted to go ahead and do that quick little episode on that. There is another small issue that I just noticed today as I was fixing to record this episode. I noticed that typically I have a day job, so I go to my day job in the morning, and I typically shut my computer down when I leave home. And then when I come back home, I'll turn my computer back on and everything. And I usually leave the interface, i.e. Rodecaster Duo. I used to use Scarlett Focusrite 2i2. I usually just leave that on. It's like no big deal. I just shut my computer down, and when I restart my computer, the Focusrite would automatically get detected by the Mac whenever I restarted my computer. But the Rodecaster Duo is not doing so. So when I restart my Mac and the Rodecaster Duo is not being detected by the Mac when I restart it. So I have to go into the sound settings and select the Rodecaster so that it will play through my speakers and not through the Mac speakers. Weird, huh? But I had no problem with that when I was utilizing my Scarlett Focusrite 2i2. It never lost connection. When I restarted my Mac, I could play whatever I wanted to play. I could hear it on the speakers. I could hear it through my headphones. But with the Rodecaster, I had to constantly go into sound and set it whenever I restart my Mac. So those are two issues that I found so far, and that's my initial thoughts on that. Now, is the Rodecaster, is it worth the money? I'm not sure yet. My initial thoughts are it seems pretty good. I like how the functions are. I like having that little effects and everything. But But there are some things. What was that? Anyways, there are some cool effects on here. I'm still kind of, it's got a little. Is there a cricket around here? Cricket, cricket, cricket. But anyways, besides that, you can do other things on here. But I do like all the different controls and everything. But I was kind of a little having a little issue with that. That issue with the well, it's just a problem I think with the setup as well as with firmware updates and such. But anyways, not to drag on this episode, but I did want to kind of put that out there for y'all. If you all have gotten the Rodecaster and you're having these kind of issues, this is what I encountered as well. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. And if you did, don't forget to hit that like button right down below. And if you want to see more of these episodes in the near future, make sure you subscribe to my channel. With that being said, I want to wish you all a wonderful week, and I'll catch you next episode. Take care.